So, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, anyhow, based on where you are. I am Dr. Ismatara Reena, an assistant professor from the School of Kinesiology. And this is a collaborative project between me and my graduate student, Sumona. If you are I know Dr. Shetty was in that previous presentation chairing, so she heard from her. So this is our another collaborative project. So we'll be talking here about identifying the predictors of poor mental health among adolescents, and we use like the role of fast use of alcohol and binge drinking, and there's some demographic variables as a predictor. So let's move on. So my presentation will be formatting as background of the problem. So we'll be talking about why do you think this is a problem, then what is the purpose of our study, then methodology we used, findings, what we found, conclusion discussions, future recommendation, and then opportunity for you all to ask question. So what the previous research or scholarship showed that the adolescents in the development stage and which has the heightened vulnerability to develop a mental health problem because of many different challenges they go through. We know that like the brain development takes place until age of 25. However, the most brain development growth takes place in that adolescence is 12 to 17. And alcohol uses in this stage is a major public health concern because it has like stronger association to change the brain development, which change the cognitive impairment, which create the cognitive impairment and development and some mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. And and a study also shows that adolescents who are exposed to the alcohol in the early ages has a long-term impact. And that's connected to that statement that the development of the brain, that in this stage, the brain are developing in the brain development in this highest phase. So it creates a impact which stay with them even when they are in their adulthood. According to the National Survey of Drug Use and Health in year 2023, which just came out, showed that about 20% of the youth is like 14 to 15 have at least one drinks in their lifetime. So their drinking, having alcohol, drinking alcohol percentage is very high. And we also consider the binge drinking because, and this is defined as like having a significant amount of drink alcohol in a short period of time, and which is like 5 or more drinks for men and 4 or more for the women in within 2 hours time. This is the definition for adult. If you consider the young, that should be significantly lower amount. And again, in the previous presentation, Sumona said that blood alcohol level usually for the adult is 0.08 milligram per deciliter for adult. However, for the youth, it is 0.01%. So you can say that it is significantly lower amount. And in 2023, like Sumona said that in 2021, there was 1.8 million youth consumed alcohol. And in this one, it is in 2023, it is 3.3 million. So this is increasingly, alarmingly high rated. That 3.3 million binge drink in their past month, and more than like nearly 700,000 out of the 3.3 million, 663,000 reported binge drinking 5 or more days in last 30 days. If you calculate, and that is in 1 month, then in 1 year, they have like about 60 days or more, they are having binge drinking in that age group. And previously, like historically, the boys who have higher rate of consuming alcohol and binge drinking, but in 2021, that flips, and it is showing that girls have higher rates than boys. So that could be another study that why that is happening, why girls are having more, because and the girls reported more mental health problems. So if they have like more drinking, I think the issue of mental health will be higher in girls than boys in that age. So the research gap we found through the literature search that most of the literature that generalized the alcohol use without considering the age of initiation or like binge drinking pattern. So there is a limited scopes of public health to create the intervention, targeting that specific point, like the early initiation or the habit of binge drinking, so that the intervention will be more effective and efficient. So there is a remain need for research to examine how the age of first use and binge drinking correlates with poor mental health. That's the our study is planning to do. A more comprehensive understanding of that association from the nationally representative sample is vital to develop a targeting strategies aimed to improve mental health through the promotion and the alcohol use prevention program. So the aim of our study is to address this gap by examining the predictor of poor mental health, which we focused as age of first use of alcohol and binge drinking pattern and some demographic variable, which includes age, sex, ethnicity, and academic levels. So methodology we use the secondary data, we use the cross-sectional study design, and we use the variables that we use the dependent variable as a poor mental health status of the adolescents, and independent variable which may modify that dependent variables are age of the first use of alcohol, binge drinking, and some demographics, as I mentioned before. So we use the 2021 Youth Risk Behavioral Survey, and that survey collected data about more than 17,000 adolescents. However, after cleaning and removing the missing information of our questions, we finally being able to use the 6,756 data, and the survey conducted every 2 years, like every even years, like 2021 and 2023. As I said, the 2023 data is out, so it will be great if we can use that things, and we are planning to do that things. And data represents collected from like 9 to 12 graders, of high school students, and they are age ranging from 12 to 18 years and attending both public and private schools. So it is a publicly accessible data. So we have some limitations, some bias on that. So these are the representation of our participants, like 6,756, as I said before, and we included data from 12 to 18 years old, who has the completed survey and attending high school in the United States, both private and. So our dependent variables were poor mental health, and there was one question in the survey. They collected data on like many different things like risk-taking behavior, safety and security, sexual health education, substance use, like all those. But for our research purpose, we use 3 different questions they asked. Like for the dependent variable, we use that poor mental health one. So that was like during last 30 days, how often your mental health was not good. So we recorded is in binary as a binary variable. So we took yes and almost as yes and otherwise, in considering never, rarely, and sometimes for our analysis purpose. The age of first alcohol use, they collected data as like drinking alcohol other than few sips, when how old you were, like it was I never used, that's one group, and then there is 6 different group. We recorded as like before 13 and after 13, and free-teen alcohol use is associated with higher risk behaviors. You heard it from like previous presentation, and you know that is supported by the previous researches. Another variable was binge drinking, as I defined before, how it's defined. So it was collecting for first 30 days. So it was like 0 days, and then 1, 2, 3 to 5, and it was like yes or no. So if they use binge drink in any days, so that was yes, and others was like no. And you, yeah, I said that like the blood alcohol concentration is 0.1 who 8 milligram per deciliter is considered as like influenced for adult. However, if it is a teen age or adolescence, that is lower, which is 0.1 milligram per deciliter. And we analyze other variables we use, like, as I said, demographic, age, sex, ethnicity, and their grade level. And we use both descriptive statistics and inferential statistics to analyze the data. We use chi-square test to see the relationship between like dependent and independent variables. And also we use the binary logistic regression to predict the like independent variable who are the most impactful to create the poor mental health. And we use YRBSS 26.0, and the p-value for cutoff for the statistics was 0.05 with 0.05 with 95% confidence interval. So the overall our findings is that 45% of adolescents admitted they drink alcohol, and more than 10% are binge drinker, and 36% of participants experience poor mental health in past month. Our analysis showed that poor mental health was statistically significant with like the first use of alcohol, their sex, their grade, their age, and also the binge drinking. All of them are statistically significant. If the analysis showed that the female has higher odds of reporting poor mental health than male, which is more than 3 times, 3.25 times higher than the male girls, I should say here. And also adolescents drinking age before 13. So whoever initiated that alcohol consumption before 13 has higher odds of poor mental health, and adolescents who start drinking after. Both has influence, however, that before 13 has the higher influence than after 13. The binge drinkers, like who are binge drinkers, then not has like 1.3 times, and a pretty statistically significant relationship with more mental health. In considering the race, Hispanic and non-Hispanic, we didn't see any higher rate for Hispanic people. However, it was statistically significant. The following 3 slides has the tables. You can what we just discussed. So I'm not going over in details on that one. So this is the demographic distribution of our participants. So what are the percentage of distribution in the group? These are the chi-squared test. You can say that only the Hispanic, the ethnicity, Hispanic and non-Hispanic, does not have any statistically significant difference, p-value which is more than 0.29. All others has a statistically significant difference. This is our table for binary logistic regression, and you can see that like in the A's, we use the 13 and 14 as the references. So 15, 16 does not have any statistical significance, but 17 has. And same kind of findings we found in between 9 and 10 grades. They don't have any statistically significant difference. However, that older grades with the 9 grade has a significant difference. So this study revealed that early initiation of alcohol use, more specifically before age 13, has a strong association with poor mental health, including anxiety, depression among adolescents, and which is aligned with the previous study, which found that early substance use, which has a long-term mental health impact. So they use like all the substance use, but we found that even only alcohol and early initiation has a strong influence. Similarly, the binge drinking behaviors also found that it increased the mental health issue, which also support the findings of previous studies that heavy episode of drinking significantly increased. So heavy episode, basically the binge drinking. And we found that like the female has the higher incidence report of poor mental health, which reflects with other previous resources. In conclusion, that early alcohol use and binging is a critical predictor of poor mental health, and school and community programs should be equipped with the resources to educate adolescents about the risk of early alcohol use and binge drinking, and support who already started. So we can start with the prevention and also the treatment kind of implementation, prevention for the binge drinking and alcohol use among adolescents. Mm, and the limitation and future recommendation, we use the secondary data, so we cannot control the biases of the report because of the sensitive use of sensitive nature of the information are asked in this one. And future study can use the longitudinal and some confounding variables. And this is last said, and I think I am in the time. Thank you all so much for listening. And if you have any question, I'll be happy to answer.